So, again, I'm here with Samantha and Olga, and actually these two combined forces because they're neighbors, and I'm sure that's really nice that you guys get to work with each other because I know when you draw and when you create and you're inspired and you're by yourself, it could be a little hard and lonely. So I'm sure it must be a good,
It's good. It's good that we're exchanging information
right.
between the two of us. And Samantha works with most of Oculus. Well, she works in Oculus, and I work in HTC Vive.
Oh, that could be
a little bit different in program.
Yeah.
A little bit different in programs we use. Between the two of us, we use every program.
Yeah.
So far, I know every art program, and we exchange information. It's really good.
That's great.
Yeah, did you see our, so I did like a little animation. I modeled it in Oculus Medium, and then I animated it in Tvori, and then Olga took it and put it into Sketchfab AR.
So you created it? So wait, so you created it in Medium.
Yeah,
then you
animated it in Tvori.
And then you exported it and transferred it into Tvori. And then she took it to Sketchfab?
And yeah, I put it in Sketchfab, and then using the Sketchfab, I use it as a augmented reality piece. It was it's a lady moving, playing the guitar, right?
Cool.
And I brought this augmented reality piece to the theater. I work for children in the theater, and we did a video with children dancing with augmented reality.
Wow.
Model. That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, well,
is that hard to transfer from file to file to file? Like, what are some tips that maybe other animators and illustrators that are doing this could use? Like, what are some good tips? Because when I hear something like that, I just think, the editing that has to go into something like that. It's got to be like, oh my goodness. Oh, hi, Daniel.
Hi, Lucas.
Daniel's here.
I talked to him last time.
Yeah, he joined in. So what are some tips that other illustrators could use?
So one thing about AR is that if you want to have anything in AR, make sure your file is small, because most likely your phone can't handle it. A lot of phones can't handle AR.
Really?
And like most of the time you can do characters. That's why I did a character. But if I did this scene, it's in the Christmas scene is in Sketchfab, but you can't. The file is like 200 megabytes. It's insane.
Wow, that is a lot. Daniel says hi.
And
hi guys.
Hi guys.
So okay, so the file needs to be small. So one tip: file must be small. And is there something obvious? Like, is that obvious to make it small, or what do you use to make your files small? Especially when you're working in these kind of, I mean, where I think a lot of things are bigger files. That's what I always get in 360. There's always bigger. I mean, I'm not sure how it is with AR.
When you're like, even from the get-go, like when you start in Medium, you should make sure your file is somewhat small.
Okay.
Because then you'll be animating it, and that adds file size, and then you're exporting it. So when you're sculpting, just make sure your file, I mean, just make it small enough that anybody can, because people don't want to wait when they're building AR, like a file.
Right.
They want to be instantaneous, and they see it on their phone in AR, like very quickly. You don't want people to be waiting.
That's a good point. Oh, Daniel says, I loved your Christmas scene, Sam.
I love your animation, Daniel. So, bam!
Yay!
Yours was really good.
Heart. Send us some hearts.
And thanks for posting your process too, Daniel. It was really interesting to see, because there's little things with these programs. There's a lot of hurdles you have to go to figure out stuff. But that's kind of the fun part of it. So.
For sure. So what is like a second tip that maybe new artists who are not in VR or animation, like what are some other tips with these types of not just collaborations, but these types of creations? They
have to think.
Yeah, you can go there.
They have to think 3D. the first thing that new artists have to think immediately. It's not flat.
Right.
It's all 360. It's 3D.
Absolutely.
Make your whatever you do, go around your creation, look for every side, turning it upside down, and make sure that remember that people will go around as well.
That's a great. Okay, so that's true. Like, how did you two start in this world? I mean, as I know how it is, but you know, it could be sort of you're kind of creating your own guides in some point because it's so new, and so I mean, it's not new because there's other people that have built the bricks for us, but
yeah, Olga's more experienced. Well,
I have almost 3 years. I'm in virtual reality.
Wow.
I'm a professional artist.
That's great.
Yes. Yes, since Tilt Brush came on the market, I was hired by Google to present Tilt Brush in Toronto, in Canada. And I'm sculptor, a designer of theater stage. You know, I work three-dimensional, and I do illustrations. I came from this background.
Wow.
I think three-dimensional, but traditional. That's why I like Tilt Brush the most. It feels like traditional painting and sculpture.
Interesting.
It's painting from illustration,
right,
and new art.
Yeah, and just to add on, I've been to I go to Olga's house all the time, and she has lots of paintings in her house and sculptures of head busts. And
we need a 360 of that.
Yeah, she did one head bust of a life drawing model that was my favorite life drawing model when I was going to school. I was like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Like,
it just happened that
that's awesome.
It's meant to be us connected.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I couldn't believe it.
You're like, that's it. This is my partner in crime, my VR partner in crime, VR, AR, XR.
Yeah. Now we're a team, Sam and Olga, or Olga and Sam.
Ooh, I could think of a lot of ideas for that. So what, like, you know, besides those few tips, like what would you suggest people that are new coming into the industry? What would you suggest they start doing? I guess you could say, like, is there something they can read about it? Because, or not just read about it, but maybe somewhere they can learn more. I mean, you posted something from Google, some Google document that had some tips on, right? Just today.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So I'm always learning a lot of different things in regards to making 360 images and videos and trying to get around how I was working 3D files, because I come from illustration and I don't come from animation, 3D animation in the background. So every day I'm kind of learning a little bit more of how just the 3D world works.
Right.
And especially if you want to do something like 360 images or 360 video, you have to inject, this is kind of getting a little technical, but in order for your photo to be known as a 360, or video has to be known as a 360 video, you have to inject metadata.
Inject metadata.
So, and that's what
interesting.
That's what that link talks about.
Okay, that's a great tip.
So basically, when you're looking at a 360 image or video, it's basically a sphere that has an image that's wrapped around it, and then you unwrap it, and it's you need to have it becomes as an equirectilinear image. It's very technical term.
Okay,
but you have to basically inject data into it so that it knows it's a 360. Otherwise, it looks really warped, and Facebook and YouTube